Hi there, this is Danny Flexen for SecondsOut with the latest edition of Flexpectations. Here every Thursday, 4:30 PM to talk about the boxing action to come over the weekend. And there's a matchroom show on Saturday at the O2 Arena in London that is not quite as big or as highly anticipated as it once was. Originally, the main event, of course, was Dillian Whyte against Otto Wallin, which has been cancelled amid much consternation from Wallin's camp. And I suppose, first of all, Matchroom deserve a great deal of credit for keeping the show going in the absence of the headliner. I mean, I'm guessing they've saved a certain amount of money by that fight not going ahead, but I'm sure they've lost equally quite a lot of money for people wanting refunds and so on who were buying their tickets predominantly to see the heavyweight attraction at the top of the card. We hope there's still a decent crowd in attendance. The new main event is still, a high status fight between Chantelle Cameron and Mary McGee, both 140-pound champions, unifying their titles. Cameron WBC, McGee IBF. I guess the message really, and the undercard fighters on show must have been absolutely desperate for the card to remain in place, is that it's now their opportunity and perhaps their responsibility to justify the fact that the show still goes ahead at the O2 Arena, which is a prestigious venue, and to justify the fact that they can still provide value for money and entertainment in the absence of Whyte versus Wallin, which I thought was a really good, really well-matched heavyweight fight, and that stylistically would have really delivered as well. So while we lament that, we then hope and pray that the other fighters on the show can step up. And that starts, of course, from the top, and that's Chantelle Cameron. Exciting fighter, throws a lot of punches, hard hitter, with Jamie Moore, of course. Unification fights are always prestigious. What I would say is that both her and Mary McGee won their belts in vacant title fights and have had one easy defense since. Cameron, though, is unbeaten and looks like an exciting rising talent. McGee, on the other hand, not as fresh, been around a lot longer, fell to the likes of Holly Holm, Erika Farias, some of the top fighters at that weight before eventually getting her chance, easier chance, you'd have to say, at the title in that vacant scrap and picking it up. So fair play to her, but it's not like two long reigning champions going against each other. Cameron starts as favourite, and rightly so. She's fresher, probably more athletic and hits a bit harder. But McGee's been around and she could teach her a thing or two. I would expect Cameron to get to her in the later stages of the fight, but may have to go to points. May leave it just a bit too late. If she does score a stoppage, McGee's durable and has been in with really real quality operators. So that would be a huge statement. And for Cameron, this is by far the biggest stage of her career. It's still not that long ago that we saw a female headline Sky Sports Matchroom show for the first time. Obviously, this time Matchroom with the Zone, but it wasn't that long ago. What, 5-6 years when Katie Taylor did it? Maybe less than that. So it's still quite a big deal to have a female headlining at the O2, and kind of like when Michaela Mayer headlined on ESPN, it wasn't planned. It was promoted after the main fight fell through. But still, it's a golden opportunity. It's a historic moment for the Grammar Police Kill Me. And yeah, it's up to Chantelle Cameron and Mary McGee to now make the most of it. Also, further down the card, we've got some interesting fights. Craig Richards should have too much at light heavyweight for Marek. I think it's Matija, but I could be wrong in that pronunciation. His first fight outside Poland. Mixed in decent opposition at home, but nothing special. Obviously, Richards put in that creditable performance against the WBA champion Dmitry Bivol. So he'll be looking to build on that and establish himself as a world-level performer. If that's to be the case, he should have far too much for someone of his nature and should be looking for a stoppage in this fight. I make no bones about it. But perhaps the fight of the night, and certainly the most interesting fight on the undercard, pits Yusuf Kamari against Jorge Castaneda. Kamari, good fighter, drew for the English super featherweight title not long ago, but looked great on that Gibraltar bill earlier this year, where he took Kane Baker. We all like Kane Baker. Took Kane Baker apart, got a 6-round stoppage. Part of that Dillian Whyte team. He's been training out in Portugal with Whyte and the rest of them, trained by Xavier Miller. all the talent in the world, but really needs to put it together and make a run at a higher level at this point in his career. And they've not matched him easy, to be fair. This fight probably deserves a bit more coverage than it's got. Castaneda, tough. He's from Laredo, Texas. Been around, talented, dogged, and got coming off an impressive upset victory in his last fight against the touted former amateur star Otto Jones III. Won there via decision. Just really, really good fight. I think styles will mesh well. And I think if Kamari is what his team feel he is, then he'll need to get past opponents of this nature. But it's a very good fight. So I'm looking forward to that one. I hope it's on the TV portion of the event. I know they're not the biggest names, but they are both talented fighters, and it should be a competitive fight. One that will definitely be on the TV portion, it's already got a lot of attention since Whyte Wallin fell through, is Whyte's very good friend and part of the team, Alan Babic, the Savage, who I've got a lot of time for, both in the ring and out. Taking on Eric Moliner, faded former world title challenger, who we saw over here around 6 months ago lose to Fabio Wardley. Did buzz Wardley early in that fight, but only seemed to kind of wake him up, and then Wardley took him out in good style. Has since got an easy victory over a losing opponent back in Mexico, and certainly seen better days. Can be dangerous, but doesn't really produce much of a work rate anymore, and seems content to just wing a few hopeful shots, one of which caught Wardley, obviously, 2 fights ago. But I don't think he'll have that level of success against Babic, not just because the Croatian's chin is very good, but also the fact that he throws so many punches with such power, ruthlessness, velocity, that the opponents don't really get much of a chance to hurt him in the middle. We've all seen how he spars, where he'll step it up an even greater level of determination on fight night, and I expect him to stop Moliner sometime within the first 6 rounds, maybe even early on. You know, he's going to be massively outweighed, but I think this is one of those where ambition, urgency will outweigh, pun intended, any size advantage that Molina enjoys. And also we get to see some of the young stars of the Matchroom stable make their next steps as pros on the undercard. Sam Jones, Johnny Fisher. Sam Jones? No, he's not fighting. He's not even with SJAM anymore. It's a Freudian slip there. John Hedges and Johnny Fisher, both SJAM fighters, of course. They'll be returning to action. Always good to see the Romford Bull and the Gentleman, whose latter of which is now plying his trade at light heavyweight. And also Ellie Scotney, of course. We haven't seen her around for a while. She's changed trainer in that time from Adam Booth to Shane McGuigan. It'll be interesting to see what nuances or elements McGuigan's added to her in the short time they've been together. She takes on Eva Cantos, who's got a winning record. I think she's like 2-1. But it's more just to see Scotney back out. A lot of people expect big things from her, including me. And yeah, we'll see how she gets the job done. McGuigan, I interviewed him earlier this week, and he said he's really looking for a stoppage from Scotney in this fight. So no pressure there, Ellie. But yeah, so there's still stuff to look forward to. It's not as good as it once was. I'm not going to try and pretend otherwise. I'm going to the show on Saturday. I've got to say I was more excited about it when Whyte Wallin was still top of the bill. But I'm still looking forward to it. I think there'll be plenty of competitive action, particularly in the main fight and the Kamari Castaneda scrap. But yeah, so I think it's still a decent show. And bear in mind, it's not a box office show. It's a standard DAZN show. And I think if this had been announced as a standard DAZN show, people would have said, well, bit underwhelmed, but it's a decent enough show. I think the fact that it did have Whyte Wallin at the top and that's since been removed has affected the reception. I think if it had always been the case, people wouldn't be as disappointed as they are. But that's just my take. It is my vlog after all. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think of the best fights on the card? How excited are you about it? Are you disappointed, particularly because Whyte Wallin's off now? Are you still going to watch it? Let us know and I'll respond to some of the comments. I'll be back on Monday to review the show in Reflections, 4:30 PM. And then next week, Thursday, to look ahead to more action at the same time in Flexpectations. Really appreciate your time, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.